In this video, we are going to go into the details of MongoDB by going through its history, the motivation behind its development, and we'll also see different terminologies used in the MongoDB and compare them with the terminologies used in the traditional relational databases. So in terms of history, MongoDB was introduced by a company called 10gen, which was renamed to MongoDB in around 2013. So the MongoDB was developed in around 2007 when the company started finding problems in storing a large amount of data. So they developed a solution for themselves, and then so they decided to go on open source in around 2009. So the name MongoDB comes from the word humongous database, and it is a kind of document based database which stores information in JSON objects, and it has a high performance, high availability, and high scalability characteristics. What was the motivation behind developing this solution? So in 2007, when the company start was facing the problem of a large amount of data, so they saw that their existing solution or the database that they were using, they were not easily scalable, and they were not flexible enough to store different kind of variety or different kind of data that they were receiving, and it was kind of not efficient to store complex and dynamic data. So these are the problems that they were facing, which led to the development of MongoDB. So their aim was to have a kind of to increase the scalability. They wanted to have a distributed storage, and they want to make the system highly available, so that they want to have a kind of replication in their database, which allow them the data to be available to the users even if some node fails, and of course it should be easy to use. So that's why, based on these requirements, based on these aim, the company started MongoDB as a kind of their proprietary MongoDB solution for storing database, and then later on in 2009 they went open source, and now it is one of the most frequently used NoSQL database solution. Some of the characteristics of MongoDB are that it supports many languages. So you can use MongoDB with C, with Java, with Node.js, even with Python, Scala. So this is one good thing about MongoDB, is that it can easily be used by from different languages, and also it can be deployed on different platforms. So it has a support for Windows, Mac, even Linux. So it supports a Java based query language. You will see when we are going to go into the technical details of MongoDB how this Java based query language looks like. In terms of reliability, MongoDB has a master slave replication architecture. So what it does is that they have a master node to which all the read and write to all the write operations are performed, and all the write operations which are performed on this master node are kind of replicated to all the slave nodes. So, and if let's say master nodes goes down, one of the slave node become master and start which has all the information or all the data available which was on the master node. So the system is highly available. In order to support large amount of data, what MongoDB do is follows the concept of sharding, in which it splits a large data set into a smaller shards and then store them on multiple nodes or multiple locations. For example, let's say you have a data of 1 TB, then it splits them into, let's say, 250 MB each, and then save these 4 smaller shards on a different nodes. Of course, when the data is smaller, so it's easier to manage and it's faster to retrieve and write. So who is using MongoDB? As you can see, there are many big companies who are using MongoDB. For example, Adobe is using it, eBay, Google is using it, and for example, Nokia. So there are many companies which are using MongoDB. And in the discussion section we will see that MongoDB is also kind of very popular, is one of the most popular NoSQL database solution available in the market at the moment. So moving on, in terms of MongoDB, we are going to cover four main aspects. The first, we are going to see different terminologies which are used in MongoDB, which will be part of this video as well. Then we will see how we can perform basic 4 CRUD operations with MongoDB, which is create, read, update, and delete. And lastly, we will see how relationships work in MongoDB. So starting with the terminologies, so MongoDB follow a kind of hierarchical approach. So we have MongoDB server at the top, and in this MongoDB server we have different databases, and then each database have a collection, followed by in each collection, and then you can have multiple documents, and of course in documents you will have different attributes or fields. So comparing MongoDB with the relational databases, we can see that okay, so the concept of database is the similar in the relational database management system, but inside databases we have tables which are called collections in MongoDB, and in these collections we have documents which can be seen as rows in the traditional databases. The documents, each documents then have a field, or we can call them attribute of the object, JSON object, or attribute of the document, which refers to the columns in the table. Now how MongoDB do a kind of relationship is that it has embedded document, the concept that you can add a document within a document to store additional information, which is usually done using joins in the relational database. So you have additional information not stored within the database, but it's stored in different table, and then these two tables are joined using a join query to retrieve a collective information, whereas MongoDB try to follow the approach of having the information in the same collection, but it is kind of embedded inside a bigger document. In terms of primary keys, so MongoDB always have a primary key which is identified or which has a attribute called _ID. So of course the what kind of key this will be can be defined by the user, but the attribute or field name is always _ID. But in a traditional databases, any unique column can be considered as a primary key. So there is a concept of foreign key available in databases, in traditional databases, which is used to join the two tables. The concept is also available in MongoDB, but it is not an approach which is liked, because if you do a lot of referencing, then the basic idea of MongoDB, which is non-relational database, is lost. So that's why, if required, the option of referencing is there. We will actually see how it is done, but it is not an approach which should be followed, especially when you have a huge amount of data. Now in the next video we will discuss how to start working with MongoDB and perform different CRUD operations.